So we've all experienced those moments of tension with a girl, like when there's silence after a joke or a compliment, when your eyes meet and neither of you look away. Maybe it's the split second of friction when another guy comes over and he starts talking to her in front of you, or that moment when she pulls back her attention and doesn't reply to your text as quickly as she normally does. Most guys instinctively try to diffuse these moments or break the silence or ease the tension. They try to make things comfortable for her and for themselves again. But what if I told you that leaning into these moments is actually the key to increasing a woman's attraction and her desire for you? In this video, I'm gonna show you 5 secrets to handling tension in an attractive masculine way, and why in a dating scene where it can feel like women hold all the power, this is the single most important thing you can do to stand out and draw a woman in. I'll break down real-world examples of how to master these moments of tension, so by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use a special type of tension to make her feel that powerful spark with you, and even more importantly, how to stop blowing some of the crucial moments with her by diffusing things too soon. Hi, I'm Bobby Rio, and having coached guys now for the past 15 years, I can't tell you how many guys ruin things with a girl because of their inability to keep their cool when they experience some kind of tension or friction with a woman. I get it, because I was guilty of this. Looking back now, I can't help but cringe at how I murdered so many good opportunities, like sitting on a couch talking to a girl at a party, and the conversation's good, but then there's this silence, and we kind of look at each other, we make that split second of eye contact, and instead of leaning into it, I'd internally panic and fumble for something to say. And I just completely ruined the vibe that was there. Why? Because I couldn't handle the tension. One of the cringiest examples was the time I had finally kissed this female friend of mine, a girl that I had a crush on for a while. And if you've ever had that experience of finally getting a girl that you've wanted for a while, it's like the world just suddenly clicks and the universe makes sense and you're floating on cloud 9, picturing what your wedding's gonna look like. Well, that was me. The next few days are electric, right? We're texting back and forth, there's playful banter, and I'm smiling at my phone like an idiot. And I'm like, this is it, right? I got her, I won the game. Friday rolls around and I'm all full of confidence and I shoot her a text saying, I really wanna see you tonight. And I'm expecting her to immediately reply with like, me too, right? Just as excited, but crickets, no response. The next day comes, Saturday comes, I wake up, I'm clutching my phone, still no response. Here's where I need to pause the story and point out something crucial. That tension that you're feeling right now, like listening to this, that discomfort, that uncertainty, that's exactly what I was feeling multiplied by about 1,000. And that tension is pure gold when it comes to the invisible game of attraction, if you know how to handle it. But I didn't know how to handle it back then. So by Monday morning, I'm panicking, right? I'm thinking, shit, maybe I waited too long to ask her to meet up after our kiss. Maybe she doesn't know that I like her. I'm doing all kinds of mental gymnastics, trying to explain why she hasn't responded for 3 days. And somewhere in this psychotic state of mine, I convinced myself to send her a text message. Not just any text message, a text message laying out exactly how I feel about her and how much I care. Now, I'll spare you the details because I cringe too much even thinking about it, but use your imagination, right? It was that bad. I think I used the word love and we had kissed 1 time at that point. Now, as you can probably guess, this didn't end well. Her response was a polite text that said like, thank you, that was really sweet or something like that. But then when I tried to transition that text into her meeting up that night, she says she's tired and maybe another night. And just like that, whatever spark was there is gone. I had taken that spark of tension that we had after that kiss and I stomped it out with both feet. In trying to force certainty, I killed the very thing that made the situation exciting for her. See, what I didn't understand then, but painfully learned over the years, is that tension is not your enemy in dating. That discomfort you feel when things are uncertain, when you're not sure, it's not a problem to be solved. It's a feature, not a bug. This is something that I deal with clients all the time. Now, keep in mind, these clients pay me more per hour than most of the top attorneys in the country get. So you'd think that when we develop a plan together, they would stick to it, right? Wrong. I'll give you an example of a client of mine, Carl. Carl is trying to get out of the friend zone with this girl. And I explained to him that if you're always there as sort of her backup plan, her go-to guy when things don't work out with the other guys, she's never gonna take you seriously, right, as an option. So Carl has plans to hang out with her on Thursday, so I tell him, just cancel the plans with her, right? I say, cancel her plans, don't give her an explanation, don't try to reschedule, just cancel and let her wonder what happened. Just give her some time of like, did I do something wrong? Is he mad? Did he meet somebody new? Just give her a few days to wonder what's going on. Well, he let her wonder for about 15 minutes, but then she texts him back and she's like, hey, are we still good? Or, something like that. So Carl messages me and he's like, how should I respond? What should I tell her? She's gonna be mad if I don't respond. What should I do? Just panicking. We've all been there. And I said, just ignore her. I mean, this is a girl that had ignored him countless times and he's still chasing her, right? Well, next time I talked to Carl, he didn't just text her back. He picked up the phone and he called her. And he's trying to convince me now that the hour-long conversation he had with her, clarifying his feelings and laying all his cards on the table, was a good thing. It wasn't. Here's the deal. He couldn't handle the tension. He couldn't handle the uncertainty of what she would do, what she was thinking. Was she mad? Would she forget about him, right? The truth is, most men make some version of this same mistake. Double texting when she doesn't respond, seeking immediate clarification about where is this going? Confessing their feelings too soon, trying to lock down plans too quickly. They don't realize is that tension is what makes the stage of attraction so powerful. It's what keeps her thinking about you. It's what creates the anticipation that makes her want more, right? If you've been watching my videos, this concept probably isn't super new to you, but chances are whether it's the uncertainty of what she's feeling or the uncertainty of whether or not she wants to kiss you or will she get bored if I don't keep filling the dead air when we're having a conversation and talking, most guys are like drunken firefighters extinguishing any little spark of tension that shows up when they're with a woman that they like. Why? So it all comes down to this. It's something that I call the paradox of comfort. Paradox of comfort. One of the biggest misconceptions guys have when it comes to attraction is the belief that comfort is the key to winning a woman over. It's like you think if you can just make her feel comfortable, if you can smooth out every bump, every awkward moment, you'll make everything easy, right? That she'll naturally want to be with you. But this couldn't be further from the truth. I want to write something else that is pretty important to understand. Comfort kills attraction. It's literally the death of desire, right? The paradox is this. Your desire to resolve tension, to keep everything safe and smooth, actually creates more problems. And the reason is simple. When you're always trying to make her comfortable, you're signaling that you can't handle the tension yourself. And that's a problem because tension is a key element in attraction. Women are drawn to men who can sit in the discomfort, who can hold the tension without rushing to resolve it. Think about it. The most exciting stories, the most thrilling movies, the most engaging conversations, they all have one thing in common. They have stakes, they have uncertainty, they have a sense of what will happen next. This is what keeps people glued to their seats. And it's the same thing that keeps a woman engaged, interested, and attracted to you. When you eliminate tension, you eliminate excitement. When you try to be comfortable and predictable, you become boring. And what do I always say? Boredom equals death with women, right? What other small moments do we avoid tension? We give her safe, predictable compliments. We don't challenge her view or her opinion on something. When she's doing something disrespectful, we don't call her out on it. We fill in details that she doesn't need. Like if you're out with your friends, she doesn't need to know who you're with or where you went or whether there's other women there or not. That's just you feeling like you have to ease her mind and make her comfortable. Now, you might be thinking, but isn't that being considerate? On the surface, this might seem considerate. But deep down, it's driven by fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, and fear of losing her approval. And that's what makes it so needy, weak, and unattractive. On the other hand, embracing tension is one of, if not the most masculine quality you can possess. And to be clear, masculinity isn't about muscles or bossing people around or, having a temper or getting in fights. It's about leaning into tension instead of running away from it. When you're operating from a masculine frame, you're not afraid to disagree with a girl. You're not afraid to tease her. You're not afraid to flirt with her with a bit of an edge, right? Where you don't stick to the watered down PG nice guy script. And when you do this, it's a massive turn on to women. So there were these two neuroscientists, Ogi Ogus and Sally Gotham. If I'm pronouncing their names wrong, forgive me, but they did this giant study on sexual desire. And instead of asking men and women what turns them on, they studied billions of web searches to find out what they're looking for, right? What are they looking for when they're trying to, arouse themselves? And when it came to women, the erotic material they searched out, unlike men who, as you can guess, were looking for pictures of naked women, women looked for stories. And these stories almost all had insane elements of tension. The basic premise is, how can we inject as much tension into this story as possible? And then how can we have the man just lean in and increase that tension until the woman can't take it, right? There's no stories out there of nice guys showing up with a bouquet of roses. And from an evolutionary standpoint, this makes total sense. Being able to handle tension is a signal of strength. This is what women are subconsciously looking for. Someone who can stand strong when things get tough, who doesn't lose his cool, who can lead her through the chaos. The guy who can't handle a half a second of eye contact without turning red and being all embarrassed? Nope. The guy too nervous to lean in for the kiss because he's afraid that she'll think it's too soon? Nope. When you can maintain a bit of tension, you're showing her that you don't need to rush to resolve things, that you're confident enough to let things hang in the air, to let the vibe build, to play out how it plays out. And this lets her relax. Okay, so let's break down some of the most common tension points and why they matter. So I'm gonna write these down. All right, so first is the pullback test. So one of the most common tension points is when a woman suddenly becomes distant, even after things seem to be going well. Maybe she stops replying to your texts as quickly, or she cancels plans last minute. Very similar to the story that I told in the beginning. Maybe you don't hear from her for a couple days. Well, for most guys, this creates a wave of panic and the overwhelming urge to chase her down, to find out what's wrong, and to reassure her of your interest. But that's a trap, right? As we've already learned from my mistake. And I'm pretty positive that most guys have made this mistake at some point in their life, probably more than once. The urge to chase when she pulls back is the surest way to destroy attraction. Why? Because it shows that you're desperate to resolve the tension instead of sitting comfortably with it. The pullback is a test of your frame. It's her way of seeing if you'll lose your cool, if you'll get needy, if you'll fall apart just because she's not giving you constant validation. When you can resist the urge to chase, you show her that you're secure, you're confident, and that your self-worth isn't dependent on her immediate attention. It tells her, I'm still here, I'm still solid, and I'm not shaken by this. That's attractive because it communicates strength. Chasing, on the other hand, screams weakness. But what if she doesn't like me? What if she's pulling away for good? Part of operating in the masculine frame is not getting overly attached to the outcome. Write this down because it's a critical mindset to operating in this masculine frame that I keep talking about. Enjoy her, but don't need her. Here's what I tell my clients. If you play it cool, yeah, she might not always come back. But if you get needy and insecure, she's definitely not coming back. The pullback test reveals more about you than it does about her. Like, do you have scarcity mentality that feels the need to lock her down before you even get to know her? Are you emotionally autonomous, or is your mood entirely dictated by whether a woman is giving you attention or not? Okay, here's another example of a tension test. Pauses and silences. So you meet a girl at a party, you're talking to her, the conversation's flowing, you sense a vibe, but then a moment of silence sets in. Do you panic? Do you get diarrhea of the mouth trying to fill it with nervous chatter or weak jokes or questions that lead straight to interview mode? Here's the deal. When you rush to fill every quiet moment, you're showing her that you can't handle the tension, and that not being able to handle the tension kills that mood that was developing between you. But when you let the silence hang, you're showing her that you're comfortable and you're confident and that you don't need to force the conversation. You're giving her the chance to think about you, to feel the moment, and most importantly, to move things into a more seductive vibe. Okay, here's something to write down. A lot of guys, when you're trying to eliminate the tension, they miss this. Escalation needs tension. Every interaction has a moment of tension before things escalate, whether it's making a move to kiss her, suggesting a more intimate setting, or even just getting closer to her on the couch. This moment is filled with tension, and it's where most guys hesitate. They feel the urge, right? They want to make a move, they want to go for the kiss, they want to grab her hand, but then they start to overthink it. They start second guessing themselves, and ultimately what happens is they do nothing, right? Hesitation is a killer of attraction. It tells her that you're not confident in your own desires. And if you're not confident, why should she be? Now, in a minute, I'm gonna give you a few action steps to work on this and make being comfortable with tension part of the masculine frame that you start operating from. So it becomes a part of who you are. And here's a bonus, right? The most successful people in life, whether it's athletes that make it to the pro level, the people who start a business, the guys in the sales office who make more sales than the other 99% of salesmen combined, they are all masters of handling tension. Now, you might be learning this to improve with women. That's probably why you're watching this video, but handling tension is critical to getting rich. Handling tension is critical to being successful in any area of life. Okay, first, here's a few more moments of breaking tension that you want to be aware of. All right, so over texting. We kind of covered that a little earlier, but when she's distant, if you feel something's off with her, right? If her texts are a little different, don't just start texting her, fishing, like, what's wrong? Is something bothering you? Another thing, backpedaling, right? This is where you make a joke and then you backpedal and you over-explain yourself if the other person doesn't get it, or if you think like, oh, did that offend her? So you start explaining, oh, that was just a joke, right? Maybe you tease her playfully, but when she doesn't immediately laugh, you panic and you say, just kidding. This might seem polite, but it shows a lack of conviction. Nervous laughter during serious moments. Little kids do this, but if you're a grown man doing it, it's a red flag that you have serious issues handling tension. Overly apologizing or apologizing unnecessarily. It's good to apologize, don't get me wrong. When you've genuinely done something wrong, by all means apologize, but too many guys overuse apologies as a way to smooth over tension, even when there's nothing to really apologize about. Sorry, was that too forward? Sorry, I didn't mean to say that or make you uncomfortable, right? These kind of unnecessary apologies make it clear that you're seeking approval, that you're afraid of stepping on toes. Then we've got seeking reassurance when things are uncertain. So it's natural to want to know where you stand, especially when you feel like things are a bit shaky with a girl, right? You're like, oh man, what's going on here? You're all in your head. But here's the thing, constantly asking questions like, are you sure you're okay? Do you still like me? Was that date okay? When you're doing that, you're gonna erode any attraction that she is actually feeling. Seeking reassurance makes you look needy and insecure. Here's the deal, and I'm gonna say this in sort of a rapid fire kind of way. Avoiding tension is the hallmark of mediocrity. If you want to live a mediocre life, avoid tension. Women are unconsciously testing your ability to handle tension. You have to be aware of this, and you have to lean into the tension instead of leaning away from it. Tension isn't your enemy, it's your opportunity to display strength. Instead of panicking, use moments of silence to look at her, to hold eye contact, and to move closer to her. We had mentioned earlier that tension is critical to escalation, right? You can't move things forward with a woman without experiencing some sort of tension. And if you try to diffuse that tension, you're not going to ever move things forward with her. Now, she might even playfully tease you sometimes, right? She might say something mildly provocative, right? She might even be vaguely insulting. A lot of times, this is a test of your frame. If you respond defensively, you failed. If you handle it with humor and confidence in that masculine frame that we keep talking about, you pass. If she says, oh, I bet you take all your dates here, and all you gotta do is smile and say, of course, but you're the only one who hasn't tried to escape yet. You make a joke about it. You don't get defensive. You don't say, no, you're the first person I've taken here. You just make a joke, right? Just let it roll off you. Light, playful, and completely in control. Comfort-seeking behavior kill attraction. When you try to make things as comfortable as possible, you're stripping it of all the things that spark a strong desire. Here's the fact. Too many guys need to hear this because it is critical if you want a woman to fall in love with you. A woman needs to feel some degree, some fear of losing you for her attraction to grow. If you remove that fear entirely and you do it too early, right? If very quickly she does into a new relationship, she has no fear that she will lose you, her attraction levels will never get out of first gear. She has to have some fear of losing you. And too many guys want to remove that fear for a woman because they think it's helping their cause, but it's really hurting their cause. True growth happens outside your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is actually a cage that's keeping you mediocre. If you want to grow in any area of life, you've got to embrace discomfort instead of avoiding it. Now, in a minute, I'm going to give you a few exercises to do this week, but I also recommend, if you haven't already, join me on my free class, 3 Steps to Status, Value, and Social Power, because in this free 90-minute class, I walk you through how to increase the value women place on you, how to eliminate specific low status behavior, and how to build a reputation in your social scene as a high value, high status man. Now, there's a couple of sessions to choose from, and I'm gonna put a link in the description below. Okay, so here's what I want you to try this week though. This is what I want you to do. It'll give you an idea of how comfortable you currently are with tension, and it'll give you a glimpse of how women react differently when you lean into attention. And it's very, very simple. The Tension Tolerance Challenge. Very simple. For 1 week, here's what I want you to do. Hold eye contact 2 seconds longer than comfortable in every interaction. Let silence exist 5 seconds before you start speaking. Delay responding to texts by at least 1 hour. The idea here is just to do kind of an audit on where you stand in terms of your ability to handle tension. I want to see if you recognize where you're getting uncomfortable, right? Is because like you say, 5 seconds without talking, that's easy, but is it, right? If a girl's talking to you, or you're talking to a woman, or even if you're talking to somebody, at an event, can you just stand there and not rush to fill silence? A lot of guys are gonna be shocked that, 2 seconds of eye contact, they can even handle a half a second of eye contact. So you wanna just get an idea of where you are with tension and realize that maybe this is something that if you're gonna operate in this more masculine frame, you've gotta get comfortable with here, right? Again, you just wanna do an audit, you wanna see where you currently stand. Now, as I just mentioned, I also have a class. This class goes deep into the idea of value, status, and charisma, what these things are about, and really what these things are about is your internal level of how much value you demand from people. A lot of people, when they hear the word status, they think of Lamborghinis, or they think of, a rich guy or bottle service at the club, but really status is about your internal level of value you place on yourself, how much value you expect other people to treat you with. And people pick up on this. A woman especially can immediately sense, does this guy place value on himself, or is he giving away all his power the minute that I meet him? Now, the reason I bring this up with tension is because when you can't handle tension, you're showing that you're giving her too much power, right? Because you're not able to handle the tension of, oh no, I have to talk immediately to ease her comfort. Somebody who comfortable and has that internal sense of value doesn't have that feeling. They don't have that fear of this person's gonna walk away from me if I don't constantly entertain them. So do you put a high price tag on yourself? So when people meet you, do they see you as a high status guy? So what the free class below does is it walks you through 3 steps. The first step is, how do I project that I'm a high value man? And we talk about 12 ways, 12 characteristics of the man that is naturally seen as being high value. Then we talk about how to communicate it. So when you're talking to a woman, how do you communicate this value without sounding like you're trying to impress her or trying to, win her over? Because trying to impress somebody actually lowers your value. Communicating your value is talking from a place of already being high status. The way that you talk to her, the way that you communicate with her is from a place of already having the status, not talking to her to get the status. You're talking to her as if you already have the status. The third part of the class is how to build a reputation over time throughout your entire social circle as that guy, that high value, high status guy. And it's a lot easier than most guys think, because as you'll learn in this class, it's all about perception. It's all about how people perceive you, and you can control the way that somebody perceives you. That's a really important distinction. You are in control of how you're perceived by other people. And that's what this class digs into, is how to control that perception. You're gonna learn how to make sure that you're seen by the women in your life as having high value, as having high status, and as being socially powerful. So I have a link to that class below. Also, if you like this video, hit like, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment and let me know what you want me to cover in the next video.